This conference will now be recorded.
Hello all, welcome back for another session on performance testing using NeoLoad. So let's have a quick recap on what we had discussed in the previous session. Okay. In the previous session, we discussed on a few things. One is we looked at the installation of NeoLoad. So we can go to neotest.com or maybe tricentest.com and then
Hello,
download the
Naveen.
latest version. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Partha here. Just wanted to know recording is available, right? Yeah, this all the session I joined today newly. This batch.
Yes, yes.
So yeah, right. Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
all the sessions will be recorded. Um,
Right.
it'll be
Yeah,
made
because
made
one time,
available
yeah,
to you. Uh-huh.
it will be easy to refer in future. Means once at
Correct,
the yeah, very difficult to grab of everything. That
correct. Yes,
yeah, yeah. Thank you.
you'll be able to. You will be given access to the recorded sessions. Like every. So if we are having session today, this will be recorded by tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow by end of the day. You will get the recorded sessions notification.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Naveen.
Okay, so very welcome, Partha. Fine, so let me proceed. Um, so yes, so we were discussing about the recap on what we had done. So we installed NeoLoad. That is the latest version. So you can go to neotest.com and download it from there. I will just quickly show only this part as there are some more new joiners. You can just go to neotest.com and here you can just click on try NeoLoad. The latest version can be downloaded here. Okay, fine. So once downloaded, you can simply just install. It's a simple next operation that can be easily accommodated. Okay, so we started off with the authenticated and authenticated workflows, right? So what does it mean? Like so as we discussed, um, authenticated workflows are generally uh, are the workflows that may have uh, one or more authenticated transactions. Okay, so what does it mean by authenticated transactions, right? So if we see, if we can open the recordings and if we go through, um, we might. So I'm just going through. So there is a um, there's main request, and then there are like some some of these non-HTML resources. We'll skip that, and then there is a click on sign in. It's nothing new, and here what we see is there are some dynamic values that is getting passed. So when we originally recorded, we did not provide any of these dynamic values. We have provided only the username and password. So this uh, has appeared. So um, on any ideal circumstance, if at all if we are seeing such kind of dynamic values, or there is a chance that in the header, right? So in the request header, there could be some other dynamic value also might get passed. So these transactions, right? These requests can be considered as like authenticated requests, or in turn, in other words, authenticated transactions. Okay, these needs to be handled. If we don't handle it, this request will probably fail, right? And then, or even if it doesn't fail, this might not create what we are looking for. Okay, so uh, So wherever there are authenticated transactions that is involved, generally it will be called as an authenticated workflows. Okay. So we have also seen an example for this. So the best example is what we have seen for this is a e-commerce website, Amazon.in. So I need not sign in. So the user is not identified here. I can just go ahead and then browse um, what is this what this site has to offer. I can simply browse, keep on browsing, or even I can add some of these item to cart, or maybe I can decide uh, to log in when I'm checking out. So that is possible. So even without identifying the type of user or the user, right? I still have access to at least 95 percentage of this site's features and its offerings. Okay. But if we take a different example, like for example, let's say Facebook.com, everybody knows about Facebook, right? And everybody has used about Facebook, and they know what is there inside, and they can follow their friends, families. They can send messages to their friends list. They can check. They can make use of various features, but the to make use of all of them, right? The user needs to be identified. So as soon as we have gone through the facebook.com, we have to sign in, and then maybe we will be able to make use of the features or what Facebook has to offer, right? So here by default, unless the user identifies himself, he cannot make use of the site. And then there is another part which is like banking application that we have seen. So if we see this one, like at least half of the 50 to 60% of the content is accessible. um, the user need not identify himself to, let's say if he wants to check maybe credit cards, what ICICI Bank has some different types of credit cards that I can just go here and then check it out, and then I can check various other information about it. And so there is this investment options, loans, how what are the kinds of loans that are there. So many information that are just available here that I can make use of it. If I need to make any transfer transaction, then probably I need to go here, and then maybe this is the place where I would need to identify myself, right? Even if we notice, right, whenever there is this login, generally it will be kept as a separate application altogether, or a separate entity from the IC. So if, as we can see, the domain is iccibank.com, but whereas if I'm going to log in, it's going to be something else, is right? Infinity iccibank.com, right? um all right. So, and with this different domains, right? Banking, BSFI uh, is the sector that considers security at its top priority. So there is many actions that we might try to do. What happens is sometimes that will not allow us to do. For example, if we are traversing through, let's say we want to make a transaction using some bank, uh, several actions is not allowed by the user. For example, clicking back button, or maybe refreshing the page, because sometimes it so happens that there is some kind of performance issues with the bank application also, and it might not load, right? So sometimes the user loses patience, and then they will try to refresh it, and then when we refresh it, what happens is it will throw an error saying like you have to log in again, right? Because refreshing or this thing is not allowed, um, and so on. Okay. So how this application is able to manage one one set of application is able to manage or maintain the user session, for example Facebook, right? At the same time, I can open different sessions, right? So I can open one session on my web browser, I can have my phone app, I can have another session running over there. I can pick up another device, maybe a tablet or a different device, or maybe even in my phone there is again another browser. I can open it and then I can keep it. And if we see, all different sessions can be run at the same time without having any conflicts between the other, right? Even if there is a message is being sent, most probably all the different sessions also, um, right, gets that notification, and that this can be easily maintained. That may not be the case with the banking application. If we try to, I mean, some application allows it, but some application will probably say like, maybe you have logged in elsewhere, or multiple sessions is not allowed. This is like purely it's for like security compliant. Okay, anyways, we will further continue to discuss on on this topic. So today, what we are going to discuss is, we are going to discuss about the checking the user path. Okay, so let's deep dive into this. Okay, checking a user path. So what is this checking a user path? So see this, right? The checking a user path validity can be invoked by clicking this button, or when the same button can be here, available here. So the script that we have developed uh, from NeoLoad terms, it is called as user path. Okay, so it is like saying like, so this is a user path. It's a virtual user who is traversing through these transactions or these actions, right? So it's path. Okay, so on that uh, context, they have just named this as user paths. Okay. Okay, let's look at it, right? So checking the user path validity. Okay, so we are just trying to validate whether the whatever that we have recorded, and is it working as expected on those lines. Let's look at this. Okay, so to check the user path validity, we just have to click this. Okay, this will open up uh, this window, check the user path validity. Okay, all the scripts, whatever the scripts or whatever the user path that appears here under the user path tab, will also be available here, right? You need not go here every time and select the script and then invoke this. Even if we are within this check the user path validity um, window, we can easily switch through different scripts. Okay, so let's focus here on this JPEG demo. Okay, so these are the different options. So start checking, this will just start replaying whatever that was recorded, or even to a certain extent whatever the enhancements activities that has been done in this script can be checked. Okay, flag request, this we will discuss in detail when we when we discuss about flag request. It's a separate topic. Okay, that we will as we progress we will discuss. And then there is this advanced option. Okay, let's look at this advanced option. So when we open up this advanced parameters, so what we see is there's a load generator. It's called also called as LGs. Okay, these are engines that would generate load. So currently there is only one LG that is associated with this, which is uh, comes under local host, right, which means the current system itself. Okay, and then there is a handle cache. Okay, handle cache, there are three options: as recorded, new user, or returning user. Okay, as recorded, if we keep the handle cache as recorded, this is just going to replay whatever that is got recorded. Okay, and this option, um, sometimes it is irrelevant by selecting this. Okay, and then there is a returning user, right? Returning user is used when there is one set of uh, one login session happened, and then it is like uh, we are the user is trying to come back and then simply checking it. So it is like a way of simulating like the same way Facebook, right? So in our browser we will just log in once, and whenever we just simply open Facebook, it will need not ask us to log in again. It will easily identify uh, who has already logged in, and through the cookies and various other mechanism that they use, right? So that is returning user. Okay, even as recorded and returning user, uh, from performance perspective, this may not be relevant. Okay, most of the times the handle cache, we have to simulate this as a new user. Okay, every time when an iteration gets played, a new user has to come in, uh, visit a different set of transactions, and then he should perform whatever the workflow or the um, a transaction that is associated with that specific user path. Okay, so this is by default uh, a kind of setting that we have to select whenever we are going to run or look for the uh, validity of this user path. Okay, and then what we are seeing here is the browser. Okay, the browser can be simulated. See, for example, if I click on this three dots, this is going to bring up a browser picker. Okay, um, so I have used Internet Explorer for recording, but while replaying, I can select a different browser profile by just opening this up, and then I have a, if we see this, right? So there is a desktop. Under desktop, it is divided in three groups: Windows, Mac, Linux. And under mobiles, there is Android, iPhone, Symbian, Windows, and its popular devices are also listed. And then tablet. So ideally, it is divided into three major group, right? Desktop, mobile, and tablet. So under tablet, there is only these two most popular operating system that are available. So Android, under Android, there is like some Galaxy profile, and under iOS, we see some of the most popular iPad versions, and then of course iPhone. The entire list is there, and then so by selecting this, right? Um, if we see what happens is like there is a different settings get changed, and no, this is how the profile can be selected. Okay, so it is like selecting the client. So let's say we don't have some browser, but we would like to uh, just want to experience or try to see whether if browser has or the client has um, any role in the performance, right? Sometimes it does, right? So it is easy to by just picking any profile, or if we need any something customized needs to be done, we can also change the settings, and then this will go to customized. Only do this if we know what we are doing. Else, let's not fidget with this. Okay, we can just continue with the same recorded one. Similarly, with the WAN emulation also, the network can be emulated in a different uh, methods also. Okay, so if we see here, there is broadband, there is a LAN connections, mobile connections, and these are used to simulate different types of network connection. For example, let's say we want to specifically test something for let's say 4G LTE or maybe 3G, right? This can be selected, and then the information here, that is the parameter, also gets changed, right? You see this, right? This is like download is 8 Mbps, latency has been given, upload, and the other information. Even to a certain extent, so I'm on like let's say H plus, and the network is quite poor, right? What happens, so the profile completely changes. So it's all predefined um, profiles that is available, that can we can use this. Okay, to select this. Okay. However, these browser browser profile or this WAN emulation, network emulation profile may not be useful when we are checking the user path validity. It may be useful when we are going for the execution, right? So uh, it's better to keep it just default. Okay, then what we see is the playback parameters. um, so for example, let's say this is one is selected. Okay, and then if I'm just simply clicking on start checking, so what it does, it will replay the entire script for once. So let me just provide this. Okay, this has replayed. So if I change this value as 3, this will replay for 3 times. 3 iterations would be played. Okay, so the number of iterations can be also controlled using this playback parameters. I'll come to the other uh, settings also once this gets completed. Okay, now it is going in the second. Okay, all the 3 iterations got done. So launch. You're seeing again another launch. This is the second iteration. You see this, right? Current iteration, it's number 2. Then the third iteration can be also seen here. Okay, fine. And the other options is use current scenario URL exclusion filter. So I'll come to this. So exclusion URL exclusion filter is useful when we want to ignore some of the requests. For example, um, in the real-time applications when we are working with, there is a possibility that we will get also requests from other maybe let's say social media related, like maybe Facebook connectors or um, Google APIs, and maybe weather tiles, something on the Microsoft, or there could be Outlook related. Many different kinds of requests also gets into the recording, right? So we can use this URL exclusion filter to filter them out. And also, if we wish that we need not, if we should exclude the HTML resources, sorry, non-HTML resources, or embedded resources, right? Uh, that can also be achieved using this URL exclusion filter. And then what we see is the play user path think times. Okay, if we enable this, there is one more option. Okay, so think time is just the time uh, that is taken for the user to transact between two different actions. Okay, we'll also discuss about this, what is think time, in detail as we progress. And here what we see is this enable page rendering time. Okay, so this is very useful when if let's say if the business says that we also need to benchmark how quick the page is getting rendered, right? And then the complete information is being shown to the client. Okay, this is this could be critical for um, resource intensive applications. Okay, so we have already seen one example for the resource intensive application. I would like to once again show it. I think yeah, maybe some of you may already know about this kind of websites. Okay, I'll just simply open it once again. So if you see these websites, right? So all these cosmetic related websites and Um, if you see this, right, how many things are getting loaded here? There is like too many images, because that is the nature of their business, right? So they should have so many different types of images, colors. It's completely colorful. It says 4 MB. I don't think so. Let me refresh. Usually this will take at least like uh, 10 10 MB, 12 MB, something like that, just to load the home page. See this, right? Okay, from here, if we just randomly go to any other uh, subcategories, see this, right? So for each and every product, they'll be having a different colors, right? So it's like they have like different skin tones, and so many things are there. So many things are going on here, right? So definitely this will take a lot of time, and uh, keeping the user uh, hooked to this web page or website could be hard, especially when they are on the slower environment, right? If their internet is slow, or see this, right? This has taken almost 36 seconds or close to that to complete it, right? And so nobody has patience. At least this has to be carefully tailored in such a way that uh, before the the end user go to a different web page, they need to push something to their page, so that they just see what is going on there, and then they might give a chance for this business to scroll down and see what is there, right? Okay. So such business, uh, rendering time is very important. Page rendering is very, very important for them. So by enabling this, we can also calculate the rendering part. Okay. And then there is the other options, which is like enable the calculation of the response different rate. This will we will discuss like what it is. And then full data retrieval for post requests. This is also sometimes uh, there is a concept called lazy loading, right? When a user loads some web page, not every content gets loaded into the client browser. Okay, only a part of the web page gets loaded. This is used to uh, this is cleverly designed so that not much data gets used. Also the server gets doesn't take too much hit by simply sending a lot of information to the client, even if the client is not looking at it, or it is unnecessary for him, right? um, so by enabling this will just simply pulls all the information, right? And then there is a shared queue part, which is it's of advanced topic, that is not there. Okay. And then there are other actions, right? Updating recorded content. These things when we will discuss about when we are discussing about APIs. Okay. Now we will look at this part. Okay. So here what we see is on the left hand side there is time. Okay, this is from the start time. Okay, this goes on, and to play one iteration, uh, we can come to know how much time it has taken to run this one iteration. And here what we see is the action. Under action we can see um, which action is getting performed. See here it says like JPEG demo, and there is like init actions launch, and different types of requests uh, all are getting passed here. Okay. And then there is a response code. Okay. So if we see response code, response code we have already discussed. It is just the status code. Different types of code are there, and different codes has different meaning associated with it. Okay, that you can once again, if whoever hasn't attended those session, please requesting you to uh, check back them. Okay, and then there is a assertion part. Okay, currently we are seeing nothing here. Okay, because we haven't enabled any assertions for this specific application, or sorry, this specific user path. We will be discussing about it as we progress. And the difference, this is the difference rate that the settings that has. Okay, calculating the difference. So what it does is it will just show how much difference from the recorded content and the response content and the replayed content. So if we see this, right, 12%, it says 12%, so there is around 12% difference. Okay, and based on what we select here, the number of uh, information, right, you see this, right, there is details, there is variables, servers, and these two are not enabled, and then there is logs. Okay, based on what we select, this gets enabled or disabled. Okay, so I have currently selected a web page. Okay, so HTML rendering has opened up. Okay, this will not be open for any requests. Okay, and for generally what we use is this. Okay, we will just click on any request, and then under this there is definitely details, variables, and servers just gives us what all the different hosts that has been recorded or being used for this at this specific moment. Variables, if at all, if we had created any parameters or correlation or any of these variables that is getting passed, we'll be able to see it. So as we progress, we can see this as well. Currently, let's look at this part. So we can see the recorded, see this, right, this is a request, and this is its corresponding response. And then there is assertions. So we haven't created any assertions, and there is nothing to validate here. So this is empty. But with the response, this is a good approach where we can click on this button. This will just open up this comparison. Okay, this will clearly tell us like, okay, we can see this, right? So this recording has happened on 20th January. Okay, and this is the time that it had happened. And when we replayed, this is the time that it has happened. And there is like, as we can see here, there is a legends here. Okay, so gray text are all of these gray text are modified text. Okay, so there is some changes has happened. Most likely this is predominant with the time, with the date, and so on. And even here, like, there is a session ID that got changed here. There is green text. I'm not sure if we find any green text. So green text means something additional that got added, right, when we compare. So in the right side, what we see is the recorded. When we recorded whatever that got um, saved, that is what we are seeing. On the left side is at this time we just replayed this, and so here we can see this, right, server response during recording, and then server response during the validation. Okay, and there is this modified block. So this can be, so these are like individual part, and then there is a blocks also. These are different blocks currently what we are seeing. So to show what is the individual and a block, you can see this, right, there is this down button. Okay, by clicking on this, this will just keep highlighting the changes. Okay, that is has happened. Okay, it's really handy. This will go to simply next block. See this, right? So this is a block. Wherever there is a square kind of border that we see, that is a separate individual block. Okay, so this is how we can compare the response, and we can easily validate whether if we are getting somewhat closer to the recorded, or the response is correct, at least you can able to validate it. In case if we need to navigate to this request, right, there are two methods. One is you can simply right click this and then click on selecting design. This will take us back to the uh, script. Okay, and then we can do whatever the changes that we might looking for here. Okay, there is also another method. Okay, I'm just minimizing it. So here we can see this, right, the request. By clicking on this also, this will directly take us to this uh, request, instead of always going and selecting on this select on in design. Okay, can, can just by simply clicking on this request, this will take us back. Okay, so any questions so far on the user path validity? Okay, I take that as a no. Fine, let's continue. Okay, so before we further continue, let's record one end-to-end workflow. Okay, so just going to make this as end-to-end, and I'm going to just use the uh, Internet Explorer itself for recording. Okay, okay, okay. So to record, just have to click this button. This will bring up the recording option. Okay, so what we are currently seeing is the recording bar. So launch. I'm launching. I might go little fast. Okay, whoever has missed the previous session, please go through them. So now I've launched. So click sign in. Logged in. So I'm just sorry, providing whatever the transaction that I'm going to perform. I'm just providing the transaction name, and then I'm just making. Okay, so after login, just clicking on a fish. Okay, so here angel fish. Select an item, so I'm selecting this large angelfish. So after selecting this, add this item to cart. Okay, then proceed to checkout. So here I need to provide the information. So I just have to keep it just default. Okay, this should work. Clicking on continue. Anyways, this is a fake information. We are just working with a demo application. Clicking on confirm. Okay, now we can see this. There is a thank you. Thank you, your order has been submitted, and these are the information. And there is this order number, time, how much amount, money that what we have ordered. All of this information we can see it here. Then going back to the home page, and then finally sign out. Okay, so after signing out, I'm just going to stop this recording. Okay, so I've stopped it. So I get the post recording wizard. We will discuss about this wizard and how we can take advantage of this and what all this searching for dynamic parameters as we progress. Okay, for now I'm skipping these steps. Next, then finish. Okay, fine. So I have recorded another uh, script with complete end-to-end workflow. So what it does, so it is launching, signing into the application, sorry, clicking on signing button, and then here it is like signing into the application, then clicking a fish, clicking on angelfish, selecting an item, adding it to a cart, checking out, provide information, and then confirm it, then go back to the home page, sign out. So how many transactions we have? We have like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. Okay, 12 transactions. So this specific workflow has 12 transactions. Okay, fine. uh, let's learn about some of the scripting best practices. Okay, so what is this scripting best practices? Okay, there are some conventions, okay, or we can say like some protocols or maybe some guidelines, or we can also call it as a best practice. Okay, if we follow these best practice or these guidelines, right, we can create a very good high quality scripts. Okay, let's look at it like what are these and how we can follow and make a very good quality scripts. Okay, so by following this, right, this will help in developing high quality scripts, as I said. uh, then it a major advantage of following these practices, this will help the uh, minimizing the human errors, which is like often we might do it right by mistakenly. If something goes wrong, right, then we will discuss about like what could go wrong and how we can. So by minimizing the human error, we can also eliminate a rework or re-effort, various aspects that we can easily avoid. Okay, so let's discuss about phases. Okay, um, before, okay, fine, let's look at it. So the first phase, right, um, is can be called as baseline. Okay, so baseline is the original recordings without any enhancements applied. Okay, when I'm referring to enhancements, there are different activities, right, like parameterization, correlation, etc. Okay, so whenever we are recording, right, so that is the reason I have also skipped the uh, search for dynamic parameters step. Okay, so that we have the original script, that is the baseline, is always intact. Okay, the second phase, so this is the first phase, baseline is the first phase. Okay, the second phase is the development phase, or you can say development stage. Okay, where all kinds of enhancements, script enhancements activities are performed there. The most commonly performed activities are this correlation, parameterization, validation, error handling, exception handling, right, and so on. So this will be in the development phase. So this is the second phase. Then the third phase is the ready for test phase. Okay, So in this phase, what we are going to do is the script development is being completed. Okay, but we are waiting for a test data, or maybe a different environment is coming in, and we would need to do the execution over there, right? So ready for test is the phase uh, that is just before the execution phase, and then finally we have the execution phase, which is the final phase, uh, which is like can be entered into the execution part. Okay. um, so let's see how these phases are there, and what are the steps that we need to do, right? So for now, what I do is I'll keep this, I'll just create a duplicate, and then I'm just going to call this as a baseline. Okay. So what do we do in baseline? Okay. So in the baseline phase, we are just going to expand the entire script. Okay. And what we are going to do is we are going to disable the non-HTML resources. Okay. That is all we are going to do. So if we see here, um, so launch is the first transaction. Okay. I don't need this .css, GIF, all this entire um, a part to be a part of the performance, because even from the performance standard, this will not be included. But there are some businesses, right? So the the cosmetic business which I have just spoken about, maybe those business needs, because that is vital for their business, so they might also need to um, they might ask us to do the benchmarking for this also, right? In that case, we can retain it. Rest all, you can simply disable it. Okay, so I don't see any other icons or CSS or any other file elsewhere. Okay, fine. Now uh, I have disabled all the non-HTML resources that is not required for me. Okay, so in the baseline, this is all we will do, where we will disable the non-HTML resources. Okay, from here again there is another duplicate copy gets created. Okay, and then this will be called as dv1 or anything, like just to indicate which phase is this script is getting into, right? So here we can also have a description where we can just describe it, like what we are doing here, and just probably say like dev phase or something like this. Here you can provide something on the baseline, and this is the development phase. Okay, so in this phase, as I said, all the correlation, parameterization, everything has to go in this phase, and then so maybe once we are done with the development phase, what we will do is we will not create another duplicate copy. Okay, from here onwards, this developed script uh, gets promoted. Okay, so from here, so for example, let's say all the development activity has been done, this gets only promoted to RFT, that is ready for test phase. So ready for test phase is the phase between the development and the execution. It is like a kind of a phase where we are waiting for something from somebody or some other team. Okay, so there is no delay from our end. Sometimes it happens like from development to directly it goes to execution phase, skipping the ready for test phase. Okay, and again from here this will gets uh, what is this promoted to the execution phase. We can change it here also. Okay. So you may ask, right, this question like, oh Naveen, why do we need to go through all this hassles, right? Why do we have to create different scripts and duplicating it and then giving its name and face? Excuse me. So why do we need to go through all this trouble to do it, to complete the scripting? We can just anyways, we have already have one recorded uh, script, and we can just enable the auto correlation or the other cool features of NeoLoad, and then we can just quickly develop this script and get it done with it, right? So why do we need to go through all this trouble and follow all this, right? So what happens, there is a chance, right? Okay, so as I'm uh, proceeding, somehow I accidentally delete this. Okay, I have deleted a transaction here. Now what happens? This will not work as expected, because the flow is disturbed. Okay, so it will not work as expected, and then it will probably throw error, right? It will get into lot other problem. In this case, right, what we can do is we can easily go to this baseline. Okay, and we can identify what got deleted and what was the change that has happened. Okay, and then we can easily change it. Okay, so for example, if we see this, right, there is a um, so there is add to cart we are saying. There is checkout is missing. Can copy this. Okay, and then can paste it, and then simply drag and drop it. Now we have got this specific transaction back, because we had the original intact. In case if that was not there, then what we would have to do, we have to again record the entire workflow, provide all this name, disable those requests, make the enhancements. So it could become detrimental to our development. Okay, so where we will have to spend a lot of substantial of our time into this um, rework, right? So the idea is, why we need to follow these different phases is to minimize the human errors and avoid or completely eliminate the rework. Okay, that is the whole idea. This might look like doing some extra activities on the way, but this is very helpful. And in fact, in my experience, in my uh, work, this following the simple best practices norms, it has saved me multiple times. Okay, so this is good by just simply following this. Okay, so let's further continue. So what do we do? Phase steps. So first thing is we have to disable all the unwanted requests from the baseline. Okay, and then you have to duplicate that recorded script. Then we just have to go on suffix the user path with its scripting phase, so that we clearly identify what is which phase we are in and how we can make progress. So like this, we will be learning many different so there is naming conventions, there are other best practices, there is standards um, that needs to be followed. Like when we are discussing about different topics, we will be learning all of them as we progress. Okay, so any questions? Okay, if there is no questions, then we can wrap it up. We can continue, we can connect tomorrow same time. Yeah, thank you all. See you tomorrow.